What's up? Monday Night Football gave us a storyline we've been waiting for since 2022. Christian McCaffrey facing his former Carolina Panthers squad for the very first time. And let me tell you, this game had everything: interceptions, goal line drama, clutch plays, and CMC doing what he does best. The San Francisco 49ers walked away with a 29 victory, improving to 8-4 and keeping their playoff hopes alive. Meanwhile, the Panthers dropped to 6-6 and missed a golden opportunity to take control of the NFC South. But here's the thing. This wasn't your typical primetime blowout. Both quarterbacks struggled big time, turnovers were flying left and right, and there were enough plot twists to keep us on the edge of our seats until the final whistle. So, buckle up, because we're breaking down every key moment from this wild Monday night matchup. Let's start with the obvious. Christian McCaffrey was playing against the team that drafted him 8th overall back in 2017. The Panthers were his home for 5.5 seasons before that blockbuster trade in October 2022 sent him to San Francisco. And you could feel the weight of that moment, right? This wasn't just another game, it was personal, it was emotional. And CMC came ready to prove why the 49ers gave up draft capital to get him. Now, McCaffrey finished with 89 rushing yards and added 7 catches for 53 receiving yards. That's a 142 total yards from scrimmage, leading both teams. Not bad for a reunion tour, right? But what stood out wasn't just the numbers, it was how he got them. McCaffrey was patient, decisive, and clinical. Every carry mattered. Every reception moved the chains. This is the kind of performance that reminds you why he's been an All-Pro multiple times. The Panthers' defense knew him better than anyone. They practiced against him for years. They knew his tendencies, his favorite cuts, his go-to moves, and he still dominated. That's championship-level running back play. Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Brock Purdy had one of the roughest halves of football we've seen from him this season. 3 interceptions on consecutive possessions. 3 consecutive possessions. Coming off a game where he threw 3 touchdowns the week before, you'd think Purdy would be riding high. Instead, he gave Panthers defenders early Christmas presents. But here's where it gets interesting. San Francisco actually started the game looking unstoppable. A beautiful 15-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. Methodical, precise. Purdy hit Jauan Jennings on a short pass, and Jennings basically said, "I'm scoring no matter what," fighting through 3 Panthers defenders to reach the end zone. Then everything went sideways. After a quick Panthers 3-and-out, Purdy's very first pass on the next series, picked off by J.C. Horn, and not just any interception. Horn took it back and gave Carolina the ball at the San Francisco 16-yard line. Gift-wrapped field position. The second interception was even more frustrating. Mike Jackson read the route perfectly in the end zone when Purdy was looking for Ricky Pearsall. And here's the kicker. On replay, George Kittle was wide open. Like, embarrassingly open. An easy touchdown if Purdy just checks down, but he was hunting for the big play. Then came interception number 3. Horn again. This time he roamed free in the middle of the field, and Purdy just didn't see him on another pass intended for Pearsall. It was one of those, "what are you thinking while" moments. After that pick, the Panthers finally got on the board with a field goal, making it 7-3. Could have been so much worse for San Francisco, but the defense kept bailing out their quarterback. Now, before we pile on Purdy too much, let's give some attention to Bryce Young because he had his own share of head-scratching moments. The most painful one? First and goal from the 1-yard line. The 1-yard line? Young had daylight. He could have walked into the end zone. The pylon was right there, practically inviting him over. But instead, he tried forcing a pass to tight end Mitchell Evans. And guess who was waiting? Jair Brown, who picked it off in the end zone. That's the kind of decision that haunts you. That's a momentum killer. Carolina had a chance to tie the game or even take the lead, and they walked away with 0 points. It's these crucial moments where you see the difference between a seasoned quarterback and a young player still learning the NFL game. Young has talent. Nobody's questioning that. But situational football awareness? That's where he's still developing. And later in the game, Brown struck again, jumping a route across the middle intended for Tetaroa McMillan. Young threw it right to him. That interception essentially iced the game and ended any hopes of a Panthers comeback. The Panthers' rushing attack wasn't helping either. Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard, and Young combined for just 69 yards on the ground. That's not going to win you games in this league. At halftime, it was only 10-3. San Francisco had the lead, but hadn't fully taken control. You could feel both teams were one big play away from flipping the script. Then the third quarter happened, and McCaffrey reminded everyone why he's one of the most dangerous weapons in football. San Francisco put together a masterful 13-play, 80-yard drive. They were patient, they were physical, and when they got into the red zone, they gave the ball to their best player. McCaffrey took a handoff, got perfect blocks from Kittle and fullback Kyle Juszczyk, and powered his way 12 yards into the end zone. Touchdown against his former team. You know that felt good. That made it 17-3, and suddenly Carolina was in serious trouble. They needed a response, and they needed it fast. Credit where it's due, the Panthers didn't fold. Rookie receiver Tetairoa McMillan came up huge, hauling in a beautiful 29-yard touchdown from Young with 49 seconds left in the third quarter. McMillan is starting to show why he was such a highly touted prospect. They went for two, trying to make it a one-score game, but the conversion failed. Still, at 17-9, the Panthers had life. They had hope. They had a chance. The 49ers added a field goal early in the fourth, pushing it to 20-9. A two-score game, but still within reach for Carolina with plenty of time on the clock. This is where championship teams step up. This is where playoff-bound squads put their foot on the throat and finish. And unfortunately for the Panthers, they couldn't capitalize. That Jair Brown interception on the route intended for McMillan was the dagger. Brown read it perfectly, jumped the route, and ended Carolina's best chance at making this a game. Ryan Fitzgerald tried a 57-yard field goal with under 3 minutes left, a desperation heave trying to keep hope alive, but it sailed wide. Game over. The Panthers fought hard, but they just couldn't overcome their mistakes. In a game decided by 11 points, those goal line interceptions and missed opportunities were the difference. Let's talk about some individual performances that stood out beyond the main storylines. George Kittle was San Francisco's leading receiver with 78 yards on 6 catches. Even though Purdy missed him on that wide-open touchdown, Kittle was a reliable target all night. He's still one of the most complete tight ends in the league. Blocking, receiving, doing it all. Jauan Jennings finished with 41 yards on 5 catches, including that tough opening touchdown. When you need someone to fight for extra yards, Jennings is your guy. For Carolina, the receiving corps did what they could with limited opportunities. Dowdle had 4 catches for 36 yards, and Hubbard added 4 for 27. But when your rushing attack only generates 69 total yards, it's hard to sustain drives. The bigger picture here? San Francisco is now 8-4 and firmly in the playoff hunt. They're battling for NFC positioning, and despite Purdy's rough first half, they found a way to win. That's what good teams do. Carolina at 6-6 is still in the mix for the NFC South, but they missed a huge opportunity. Beating the 49ers on Monday Night Football would have been a statement. Instead, they're left wondering, what if? So there you have it. Christian McCaffrey's revenge game against his former team. He delivered when it mattered, even if the box score doesn't jump off the page. Both quarterbacks struggled, turnovers were the story, and ultimately the 49ers made fewer mistakes when it counted. That's football in a nutshell. The NFC playoff race is heating up, and every game matters from here on out. San Francisco looks like a team that could make noise in January if they clean up those turnovers. Carolina has the talent to compete, but they need to execute in those crucial moments. What did you think of this game? Did McCaffrey prove he's still one of the best in the business? Could the Panthers have won if Bryce Young doesn't throw that goal line interception? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more in-depth football analysis. We've got you covered all season long. Thanks for watching.